Well, we've been through some scrapes, old buddy. You've done your duty well. But it's time to say goodbye. Time to say goodbye. Ow, little friend. Time to say goodbye. I consign thee to thy final resting place, Stephanie Sterling's murder basement. Yeah! Hello everyone, James Stephanie Sterling here. I'm filming on my own in the murder basement, which is both scary and anxiety inducing because I just hope I'm in shot properly. Hello everyone, welcome to today's mournful episode, today's retrospective episode. I mean, to be honest, the 3DS isn't dead, or, well, some might argue that it died ages ago, although some small games kept appearing on it, just they never stopped. But the eShop is closing. Today, the time of video publication, we've got a matter of hours to get our hands on those last few games. Boxboy. So today I thought it might be fun to talk about one of the very best handheld consoles. And as a big fan of handheld consoles, I've kind of been looking forward to doing this. Even though, well, the script didn't quite go as planned because I just couldn't stop fucking complaining about Nintendo. Enjoy! Weep with me, children, for it is a time of mourning and sorrow. Weep, I say, weep for me! Today is a sad and sorrowful day indeed, for the time has finally come. It's over, it's done, it's time to say goodbye. No, I'm not talking about my career though, let's face it, that's on the ropes. No, on the day of this video's publication, the 3DS and Wii U eShop is officially done. Deaded. Demised. With the death of these eShops comes the death of any official means to buy the many video games that have remained digitally exclusive to these platforms for the better part of a decade. I've been personally going through a whole bunch of 3DS eShop titles to make sure I have everything before it's gone, games that deserve to be bought and preserved illegally. Sadly, I managed to ADHD my way out of acquiring a new Wii U since my original's long gone, but hey, there's always piracy, right? It's like your favourite trash girl regularly likes to say, it is always morally right to pirate Nintendo's games. And this time I'm not even being flippant. Even before Nintendo made it impossible to buy these games, it made it progressively harder, removing the ability to use credit cards on these systems, then pre-bought codes, until the only way to use your money and legitimately buy eShop games was fucking ridiculous. You had to set up your Nintendo account, which is different from your more commonly used Nintendo Network account. You put money on that and then log into your console to access said money. It's such a needlessly restrictive and stupidly arbitrary system that I'm actually surprised Nintendo didn't do that from the start. Nintendo has consistently sent the message that it often doesn't want your money. This goes all the way back to the 2000s and its refusal to release games globally, making territories like Europe wait months or even matters of years for games like the original Animal Crossing. With the closure of the eShop, Nintendo's official, if unspoken, message is that it doesn't want you to legally buy digital-only Wii U and 3DS games. Piracy is the only way. Some of the games being lost forever are beloved, acclaimed titles, the removal of which is a tragedy. Attack of the Friday Monsters, The Denpa Men, Pushmo, Siesta Fiesta, all these games will be lost. And who could forget the remastered release of Dementium the Ward? Anybody else care? Only me? Fair enough. This will also be the end of the 3D classics, a bunch of retro games like Kirby and Excite Bike and the fucking dreadful Urban Champion visually reworked in 3D. And you won't get those games anywhere else, you can't. There is no system like the 3DS. Both the dual screen format and the to this day incredible 3D sorcery ensures that many of these now inaccessible games couldn't find a true home on any contemporary system. Same goes for the Wii U's bizarre controller. Nintendo is truly innovative when it comes to its hardware, but such innovation is a time bomb. When times like this come, the unique games that took advantage of those systems' clever gimmicks are utterly boned. In scouring the eShop to look at what's lost, I've had an interesting experience as someone who moved to the UK from the US and found that, as was characteristic of Nintendo at the time, a number of games were stupidly not released over here. This includes one of the most notable and curious games in 3DS and free-to-play history, Rusty's Real Deal Baseball. I could play that when I was in America. I can't access it here. My American 3DS got fucked up in the move back, and my UK one region locks online accounts, so there's no Rusty for me. It's not that I care necessarily about engaging with the game's economy, but that economy is so fascinating it's worth preserving as an example of true inventiveness in the seedy realm of microtransactions. It's a game about a tired old dog who's trying to sell baseball minigames. The idea is that you haggle with real-life money on the line. It was an interesting attempt to make microtransactions appear more ethical, with players being discouraged from paying full price and given items to persuade Rusty to lower it to the minimum one. As much as I despise microtransactions of any kind, I have to admire the brilliance of the scheme. The writing and characters were really funny too. At least we have a physical release of Rhythm Heaven Megamix over here, or Paradise, as it's called in Europe. Or over there. One of them. God, the arbitrary difference in releases between territories was frustrating as all bloody fuck. And of course, for those of us who are easily wowed by pretty colours and pointless aesthetic changes like me, we'll be saying goodbye to 3DS themes as well. No longer will you have the opportunity to make your 3DS look like Spooky Zelda. You know, the fuck ever happened to console themes in general? Like, did you ever see that fucking incredible animated Dark Souls one? I don't know, I just love shit like that. I love making a console feel a little bit more me, as it were. And it was just suddenly decided we don't get that anymore. Nothing on PS5, nothing on Switch. Themes are a sudden lost art and it makes me fucking sick to my girl dick. Today's episode was supposed to be a memorial retrospective of the 3DS, since we can say the system is pretty much done and dusted with the eShop's closure. I mean, it was intended to be a tribute, but my little tangent about the store's ending just turned into a friggin' rant, huh? Oh well. I'm a big fan of handhelds. Consoles, I mean, not the penis. Masturbation.
They said it wasn't humanly possible. All the power and excitement of Nintendo right in the palm of your hand. Introducing Game Boy.
I'm not sure what it is about portable systems that grabs me so. Ever since I was a little NB, I was fascinated by them. The very concept of the Game Boy was stunning to me, and in a way it still is, despite the advances in tech since then. It's a little fucking rectangle that can play the Super Mario Boys. Truly astounding. Maybe it's an age thing. I remember when handhelds were an entirely new concept. It was before the internet was a thing. Christ, I'm dying. Whatever the case, there are very few handhelds that I don't have a soft spot for. The 3DS is one of the bestest systems. It's obviously one of the bestest. Yet when the thing launched, I absolutely detested it.
Konnichiwa.
Yes! Here we go!
The first time I got to lay my eyes on the 3DS was at E3 2010. I had attended the press conference in which the system was first announced, and at the end they had these little kiosks where you could see the thing up close. On the 3D screen was a static character model. I remember there being Link, I think there were maybe some others, with a background and various effects designed to show off what was honestly, to me, fucking sorcery! I was truly amazed at the time, actually seeing that much depth to a screen. The contrast between background and foreground. As used to the idea of the 3DS as we might all be now, let me tell you that 12 years ago, it was like a unicorn had jizzed in my eyes. The 3DS launched on March 27th, 2011, and despite both the incredible gimmick and Nintendo's experience in the portable market, this launch was a freaking disaster. First off, the selection of games available on release day was, to be diplomatic about it, fucking shit. Nintendo's first-party offerings consisted of a whole 3 games, none of which were marquee titles. Nintendogs Plus Cats, Pilot Wings 3D, and Steel Diver. The third parties were mostly forgettable mediocrity or existing games with 3D tacked onto the end, though, of course, it did have one killer app. Combats of Giants Dinosaurs 3D. Nothing was a crucial buy, nothing was particularly memorable, to the point where I actually can't remember which games I got at launch. I know it wasn't Steel fucking Diver. Nintendo had claimed the 3DS launch window would give third-party games the time to shine, but if that was the plan, it was a busted one. Third parties either didn't bring their A-game, or more abundantly, didn't bring any game at all, and since Nintendo had barely any games to show for itself, there was an absolute dearth of quality software. The eShop was a real fuck-up too. It was crucially needed. It had been announced for May, but then found its launch pushed back to June, meaning all the promised 3D versions of classic games, the retro library, the DSiWare content, all of it was delayed at a time when users were already frustrated with Nintendo's seeming inability to step up. The 3DS mainly subsisted at the time off the back of its built-in features like the AR games that used the camera. There was also Street Pass, which allowed 3DSs to wirelessly communicate and send basic user information, allowing you to meet and collect a bunch of Miis from randoms in the street without ever meeting them. That was a legit cool idea. I liked Street Pass was cool. It really wasn't much though. And in the weeks that followed, a common complaint was that users had stopped picking their 3DSs up because they were bored and they had little to do with it. The old classic phrase, gathering dust, was often used in reference to the console at the time. Then there were the physical barriers to using the thing's primary gimmick. Reports of 3D-induced eye strain and migraines were pretty regular. Many people got over it after adjusting, and there was always the ability to just turn the 3D off. But when the biggest selling point of your product is causing literal, physical pain to your customers, well, it ain't great. Speaking of physical, by far, the most baffling problem the original 3DS model had, for me, was that it got wet. Mine did. Now, funnily enough, despite it being one of the biggest things I remember about the launch struggles, I've struggled to find news stories about it from the time period, and only a handful of forum posts backing me up. But yeah, it happened to me all the time. Basically, if I closed the system's case and left it a while, upon reopening, I'd find a thin film of water running along the edges of the top screen as condensation would get trapped within it. I seriously thought this was a huge deal back in the day, but I'm finding very few who recall it. My only theory is it happened because I was living in Mississippi at the time, a particularly humid fucking hellhole. I guess those in drier climates never got to experience this curious phenomenon, but yeah, for some of us, the original 3DS SKU was at as much risk of getting damp as I am when I think about Cloud in his pretty dress.
Nailed it. I know. Thank you. Moving on.
Oh, nail me. The cost was a huge turn-off as well. Launching with an MSRP of $249.99, the price was seen as exorbitant by many people, and this was reflected in poor initial sales. Not long after, Nintendo would significantly lower the price, humiliating the system and angering early adopters who shelled out far more than they should have. As a result of this, Nintendo enacted the 3DS Ambassadors program by way of apology to those launch buyers. This program allowed consoles registered before August 12, 2011 to download 10 NES games followed by 10 otherwise unpurchasable Game Boy Advance titles that would appear in December of that year. So-called ambassadors also got a fancy gold certificate with the claim that further notifications of ambassador updates would arrive. However, outside of the 20 games, one of which was fucking Balloon Fight to Who's Really Winning, nothing else happened to be notified about. Anyway, the 3DS's first steps into our harsh world were quite stumbling indeed. Common consensus has been that the 3DS simply released too early. Nintendo didn't have its shit together and other publishers weren't stepping up. It needed frequent updates to include many of its promised features, such as its message system, online play, and the aforementioned eShop. Nintendo would continue to lose money on the 3DS through 2012, though sales had improved, as would the system itself as the library grew and the hardware went through multiple revisions including bigger screens and more stable 3D. I was among the many unhappy 3DS owners, ambassadors, in 2011, not exactly thrilled with having an overpriced, underdeveloped, fucking moist product. Yet here we are over 10 years later and I marvel at the turnaround it had. While the Wii U never found its feet, the 3DS really came into its own after it finally got all its features and Nintendo put some fucking bangers on the platform. The library of the 3DS now is full of some incredible shit. It got 2 fantastic Kirby games, Triple Deluxe and Planet Robot, and oh wait! It's called Triple Deluxe because it's a very tenuous allusion to the abbreviation 3D, and I only just got that! Wow! That's so dumb! And yet creative. What else did I like? Tomodachi Life is an utterly bizarre classic. A weird life sim in which you cater to the banal needs of an island full of Mii characters. It's full of utterly weird scenarios, and its text-to-speech lets you make Miis say almost anything. I don't even know how to describe that game. Zelda got a good showing on the 3DS. The 3D remakes of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask were fantastic. A Link Between Worlds, meanwhile, is heralded as one of the system's very best games. A game that follows on from the, to this day, incredible A Link to the Past. Not only is it a classic action RPG, I continue to be blown away by how damn good it looks. Super Mario 3D Land was a damn good one too, and it got a quality RPG in Bravely Default. Plus it had Animal Crossing New Leaf. The last time Animal Crossing was good. Ha! Only joking. Animal Crossing was never good. Special mention from me goes to Theatre Rhythm Final Fantasy, bloody great idea that led to my utter obsession with the series. But one of the truly great 3DS games is one of the ones that won't be there anymore. Fucking Boxboy. Boxboy. There's a physical edition in Japan but nowhere else because Nintendo, because territory weirdness. It was made by HAL Laboratory, the Kirby folks, and it was just about a little boy that's a box. And he can, extend himself and stuff to solve puzzles. And it's all black and white and really adorable and cute, and there's 3 games, Boxboy, Boxboxboy, and Bye Boxboy. And they're so good. And they're gonna be so gone. Bye Boxboy. Bye. From such a rocky beginning, it's rather incredible that the 3DS thrived as it did, remaining hot for the better part of a decade before the Switch became its de facto replacement. And I think it's telling that I see the Switch as the handheld's replacement, not the Wii U's. We didn't focus on the Wii U much in this video because, well, I love the 3DS and wanted to talk about that and that system's beginnings and everything. The 3DS is fucking great. So let's raise a glass to the 3DS and go play Combat Giants Dinosaurs 3D in memory of better times. Oh, and by the way, dickheads, right? I'm not apologising. I'm not apologising for hating Kid Icarus Uprising. I don't like it! Alright? I don't like it! Don't forget to pick up Undead Bowling! Anyway, before we go, I really must make mention, of course, of Miiverse. That was a brilliant idea. This sort of inbuilt console-based forum where every game had its own little space and you could leave reviews on it or make funny little comments about it or draw pictures about it using the stylus or whatever. You know, it was on Wii U, it was on 3DS. Because I managed to get my hands, I was one of the few people in the country at the time with a Wii U, and I took over the Raving Rabbids Miiverse spot and turned it into the Defoeverse, where we did a whole bunch of Willem Dafoe pictures and quotes and things. And people got really upset about that, and it got moderated. Because for some reason people thought that the shitty Wii U Rabbids game was more important than the greatest actor of this generation. Miiverse was like genuinely brilliant, and when they killed that years ago, it was a genuine fucking tragedy, and they should bring it back because it's really fucking good. Anyway, that was my look back at the 3DS with the Wii U a little bit. The Wii U, I've got less to say about it, even though I really did like the system. The problem with that one is it was just fucking confusing. Nintendo themselves admitted that the branding was for shit. It was called the Wii U, which made it look like some sort of alternative version of the Wii, and then they had to spend so much time in the marketing telling people, no, it's a brand new system. Very much like for the 3DS announcement, I was at E3, I was in the press conference, in the audience at the time when they announced the Wii U, and even I for a little bit was like, what the fuck? Oh wait, it's got Aliens Colonial Marines on it. Oh. Tell you what, not getting Aliens Colonial Marines, getting Aliens Colonial Marines cancelled on the Wii U was actually the best exclusive it ever had. Anyway, thank God for me. I'm gonna go play some undead bowling. Oh shit, I put the tutorial on.